Well, at least we can still win the Europa League.
It seems to get worse and worse. I mean, at the start of the season, we were promised that this team would probably be hitting its best form round about this time, and as game goes on, not only are we not getting the results, but the performances seem to be getting worse and worse. I can't remember the last time I watched, especially under Clement, a team that looked as if it had any sort of shape, any sort of foundation, any sort of identity. And let's be honest, like as time goes on, it's I'm amazed considering I think Beale was 7 points behind in October, gets sacked. Van Bronckhorst 9 points behind in November, sacked, and obviously Beale was sacked and only 7 points in October, and the club came out and said that performances had fallen short of standard, something round about the lines.
Aye.
So, I mean, if the board were to push on, which I wouldn't be surprised they did, considering the accounts that just get published, I'm expecting it only get worse and worse and worse for here, because let's be honest, the players don't seem like they're buying into it. Let's be honest, the foundation of players in this team haven't bought into a manager since Gerrard. And on top of that, you just don't really see how Clement's going to be able to turn it round. It's like, he can't turn it round now. It's, you know what I mean? It's always...
Nah, I mean, it would have to be something, utterly miraculous to turn this around.
I know,
mean,
it'd be a miracle.
It's quite baffling to sit here third place, 9 points behind both Aberdeen and Celtic in the league. As I might not have been surprised if somebody whispered in my ear and said, here, by the way, you are going to struggle this season and have a bad start, let's say. I mean, I don't even know if you would class this as a start anymore. We're getting deeper and deeper into the league. But if somebody had told me that we're 9 points behind and sitting in third place, with absolutely nothing. I mean, literally nothing to cling to whatsoever. That's my biggest problem. And obviously, look, I mean, I've just got to the point where ultimately, I mean, you got to accept where you are. We're currently the third best club in Scotland.
Well, to be fair...
And I said Aberdeen were favourites going into this game. They showed why they were favourites. They've got a manager who's...
They might not have been the bookies' favourites, but MD that's watched Rangers this season and kind of what difference has been made at Aberdeen, their kind of turnaround. For me, I couldn't see a win in the slightest, especially at Pittodrie. And listen, credit to Aberdeen, they look like a really good team. They looked really good against Celtic. If you push the rivalry aside, but at the end of the day, like, we need to focus on us and our performances and putting it in the context of what we've done this season so far. And it's nothing short of unacceptable, to be honest with you.
Look at how we lose the game, that final goal. James Tavernier, what he's doing there, you'll never begin to even try and understand what he's trying to accomplish there. I mean, the ball comes in at the front post. He tries to take a touch, more or less on the goal line, with, like, inside the 6-yard box or on line with the 6-yard box. He tries to take a touch, miscontrols it, it runs across the face of the goal. All of a sudden, they're 2-1 up. But if that doesn't really just, sum Rangers up, I mean, Tavernier just being absolutely lacklustre after, having, yet another bad, just weak performance. People have been crying for Tav to get out of the team for
do you remember
a while now.
Do you remember when we kind of learned at the start of the transfer window, just as it came in, every single Rangers fan, including us, every single one said, if this manager sticks with Tavernier, we get rid of Goldson, but if he sticks with Tavernier, sticks with the likes of Dessers, we don't offload him, these players will cost him his job. and it looks highly likely that that's going to be the case. The two worst performing players for us this season, some of the worst performing, let's be honest, because the whole team's been dire, but specifically Dessers as well has absolutely killed us all season for the
Man
start of the
short.
season.
Genuinely a man short. I mean, I'm just going to go back and touch on Tavernier, touch a bit on Clement's decision making coming into the game. So for me, Hefty's actually been one of our better performers
Best ball
at times.
carrier, I think.
Exactly, gets you up the park, looks quite explosive, brings a bit of intensity to the left hand side of the pitch. So it drops him. Hefty's got a bit of dig in him as well, by the way. So he drops him, brings in Casemiro, who is still raw technically, because although he's had minutes here and there, I mean, to throw him in to start against Aberdeen on the left hand side, where I'm not even sure if he's played on the left hand side for us. Maybe he has,
Can't
maybe he's
remember.
no. Doesn't really matter. But Duke has played in this league now for a few seasons, and he knows that James Tavernier cannot handle anyone running at him. Can he handle anyone being right on his shoulder and getting in behind him? And there was a few times tonight where Duke just absolutely manhandled and bullied James Tavernier. So you go to question Clement's decision making. Would it have been better to, I mean, he's never going to drop Tavernier, because this is the whole problem. There's certain players you can't drop. There's certain players you can't do this. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. But the decision making all round for Clement has been questionable for the last number of weeks. Come into this game tonight, still questionable. Let's move on to Dessers. No, another thing I want to say as well. So the Aberdeen players are hungrier. I would arguably say, pretty level in terms of quality. Unbelievable that I'm saying that.
They're
but
well drilled, they're well
true.
organised, they've got
But
a
that's the
game
main
plan.
difference. The main difference really is, I mean, you look at Aberdeen on the attack, right? First of all, they start with two up front. It's good if you want to score goals and win games. Brilliant. I like it. I like to see it. Old-fashioned way of playing football with two strikers, man.
Aye.
You never hear about it in the modern day, but clearly, if you get it right, it works. So they start with two up top, and then they actually get players up to support when they're on the offensive, right? If you look at Rangers on the attack tonight, all it is Cyril Dessers isolated and Tom Lawrence floating about in no man's land, absolutely fucking out of the game, because Dessers can't hold a ball up. I mean, Lawrence, there's no other people getting up to support. It's just, there's no, we've said
Even
for
the
weeks now,
wide players,
we don't know what we're doing when we go forward.
The wide players receive the ball and we go back to this default we seem to go when we struggle every single season. Any game,
Just lob a ball into the box.
Just lob a ball into the box to a Dessers who, let's be honest, should have scored 2 goals tonight, because in the both times he's decided to take a touch, as he usually does. Listen, we could sit here and I'll explain how he missed the chance, but we've explained the exact same fucking chance every single game he plays. I mean,
you know what you're going to get with Dessers, an extra. I mean, the guy is going to score a worldie, and then he's going to miss umpteen sitters to go along with it. And maybe the chances, if he'd hit them at the right time, maybe they wouldn't have went in. But for me, I said this, I don't know if it was I think it was last week, I think it was the Kilmarnock game, where you just cannot have that man leading the line.
No.
How can you have that man leading the line? He'll not take a shot inside the box.
aye.
He's the guy you're looking to score goals, to win games, and he's just so shy in front of goal.
But the thing is,
insane.
it's like you've got they kind of folk who are kind of jack of all trades, master of none. He's literally a jack of fuck all. He can't play a pass, can't hold the ball up, he's not got a clinical instinct about him. He's not he's aggressive in the wrong ways. Aggressive in a sense, he's aggressive at the
like at
referee
ridiculous times,
while
and
he's
then
sitting in
kinda
his arse over a soft foul.
It's bizarre. mate.
It's killed us all season, and ultimately it is. I don't, obviously we could be recording this and Clement could be sacked, but it's going to cost Clement his job. Sticking with these same old players, no changing anything, no trying something different. We could even, if we go to the stage,
You need to I mean, mate, see at this point, it's it's almost impossible to change personnel unless you're going to literally take the players who are on the bench, put them into the starting 11, and drop like 5, 6, 7 players for the starting 11. That's one option. Another option is you go, right, wait a minute, I've scored 2 goals away from home all season. I'm sitting 9 points behind Aberdeen and Celtic in third place, no even into November yet. Perhaps the way I'm trying to play is not working. Nobody's enjoying watching Rangers, and they haven't been, honestly, for the start of the season. I mean, you're lucky if I could count 90 minutes in total of Rangers games that I've enjoyed actually watching us play this season. And that sounds like an exaggeration, mate. Honestly, it isn't.
The thing is that I knew that he came into a pressure in, I think, the last game, and he was criticised by one of the Rangers podcasts. I can't mind who it was. A lot of you watching will probably know who it was, but he asked him about this kind of long ball football and how the fans are getting frustrated with it, and he kind of, his response for the game, I think, next game we won, he says it was something like, saying anything about the long balls now, or some pure kind of mocky kind of comment about long balls. And we've come into this Aberdeen game and just reverted back to punt the ball up to Dessers, to a guy that can't hold the ball up in the slightest. And it's balls, long balls down the channels, diags, long crosses, early crosses, all of these, this hitting the whole football.
Listen, see if that was going to work, and it did work. Play long balls all you want. I mean, I really don't care as long as we play, as long as it's enjoyable to watch and we win games, right? That's all we're looking for. We're looking for a decent performance and 3 points. That's all we want as Rangers fans, right? But how he's been in the job over a year now, and what are we seeing? We're seeing nothing, right? You look at that Aberdeen team. I mean, a radical transformation
Velling's just in the door
at that Aberdeen team. That manager is barely, had his hands on the team. He's only been there, a couple of months. So that's why I don't buy these excuses. Players need time to bed in, managers need time to tinker and adjust with how they're going to set their team up and find their best 11. If they know what they're doing and they're a good manager, it'll not take them 13 months to do that.
If you've got a manager with a plan, a board with a plan, and players that are recruited properly, a recruitment team that's firing on all cylinders, that's how you end up with what Aberdeen's doing now. You know what I mean? And we've not done that, anything like that, for donkeys. You get the odd flash, a player coming in the door or a new manager coming in the door, you get a bounce. This is listen, we can copy and paste it. What's going to happen is Clement's going to get sacked at this period of the season. A new manager's going to come in. We're going to see a bounce for the team, claw back some points, maybe narrow the gap a wee bit. We'll get to the end of the season, we'll miss out in the league title. You might get possibly a Scottish Cup, maybe do a wee bit well in Europe. We'll get to next season, we'll spend very little, but the money we do spends on a lot of shite. With a manager that's no plan, and the cycle goes on and on and on, and that's what it's done for the past few seasons, and that's what it's got to continue to do at the end of the day, unless there's change within the club from the very top to the very bottom. Like, I mean, I say change, we've nothing to change. We've got positions to fill. You know what I mean? We've no CEO, we're missing directors, we're missing head academy, we're missing so much within this team. We're going to be missing a manager and a backroom staff as well. In November, 9 points behind, with a 17 million loss for the last financial period. The club in general is a complete and utter mess, a disaster from top to bottom. There's no other way.
It is, and you know the thing, I mean, it would completely be justified to come off of recording a podcast and see that Clement had been sacked, or tomorrow morning Clement had lost his job, right? But the sobering reality of this is
I'm going to take no joy in Clement getting sacked, because I'm like, I don't trust the right decision to be made in the next manager.
Well, there's that. There's also, even if we do get it right from here on in, I mean, this rebuild that's supposed to be happening for the last 5 years, in reality, for us to get back to where we think that we should be, I mean, you're talking a good 5 years minimum probably down the line.
we've been sent back.
Maybe just to get back to even keel. Do you know what I mean? That's how much of a disaster has unfolded
And the thing
at
is,
Rangers
we're
Football Club.
at the stage now where we can't just exclusively blame the Beale period anymore, because let's be honest, like, Clement's had a couple of windows, and if anything, this team, the new, is looking like, if you're looking at the future and the kind of trend in performance since, this team there's a good chance it'll end up worse than the Beale teams.
I mean, put it this, I know, look, we're no getting the results, obviously, and that's, players are never going to enjoy playing. But even when we do win games, do you get the feeling that the players are enjoying playing in this system that Clement has set them up to play in? I mean, I'd say system loosely, right? Because I genuinely still don't really know what it is we're trying to do. But however he tells them to approach the game, however he sets them up, I don't get the vibe that these players are enjoying playing underneath them.
Clement being appointed was the wrong decision and we can say that in hindsight. It's easy to say, because let's be honest, what all that we've proved with this appointment of Clement is that we had a group of players and we had a tough situation on our hands coming out the Beale period, and we've recruited, in terms of manager, we've recruited the wrong one to deal with that situation, because I genuinely don't think, I think Clement has a way of playing if he has, but at the same time there's some managers that just do well inheriting a decent situation.
Do you think in some sense it just gets to the point when you're a manager and you've got such a one-track mind, that you're really narrow-minded, because ultimately your whole coaching and managerial career, you've decided that this is how I'm going to play, this is the way I want to implement my style of football. And it gets to a point where you become so stubborn and so, resistant and reluctant to change that you almost become delusional and so biased that he can sit back and watch these matches, that he can come up to these pressers and try and justify through expected goals, or we had this much possession, or this many shots, or new players. But you can't tell me that he sits back in his office, watches these games on repeat, and sees things that he likes. It's impossible.
No.
You couldn't pay me to go and rewatch some of these Rangers games that have happened previously in the season, that one included.
Aye.
I mean, because there's nothing. The team's completely heartless, completely soulless. It's like a bunch of individuals playing.
Chore to watch.
You can tell the atmosphere in the camp at Rangers right now is as honestly as bad as I can remember.
Aye.
There's a clear fracture. There's a clear fracturing. There's a clear lack of individuals in there, big characters, people that understand what this club's about, people that are equipped to play and handle the Scottish League. Because as much as people say it's this, it's that, you don't just stroll it simply by signing a player for 2, 3, 4 million. You don't, you know what I mean? You can't just buy the leagues by signing players that are more expensive than the other teams run about you, unfortunately.
Aye.
Especially if your recruitment has been as bad as ours is.
Aye.
But I mean, Aberdeen really show what it is to be a well-drilled team, have a good system, and you can see the difference in that they were all playing for each other the night, and they smelt blood, and they don't fear us.
I mean,
believe that, and no team in that league should fear us.
No, the only small period of the game where you thought, we could maybe change the momentum here was, coming into the second half and periods of the second half. But at the end of the day, like, even when we've got momentum, it's hard to get excited because we're one individual fuck up away from just completely crumbling again.
I think Chris Boyd got it spot on in his post-match analysis after the Kilmarnock game. He says Rangers have not dominated a game this season,
No.
and still it continues. Or maybe they dominated that team during the week in Europe. Means nothing.
No.
I know we were trying to take every single positive we possibly could for that game, you know. You win 4-0. You want to try and get a bit of positivity back, especially going into this game. But then, I mean, it's a severe crash back to reality. And I mean, troops, this is where we are. I mean, what we got to do about it?
We
Do
don't.
you know what I mean?
The thing
What can
is,
we
as
do?
well,
We are powerless.
aye, it's hard now because if inevitably Clement's going to get sacked, you don't know where we're going to go, who we're going to go with, what we're going to do, what the plan is, where we're going to find the money to do it. It's just
We're up shit's creek without a paddle.
Aye, that's pretty much it. So, aye, what we want you to do is we want you to jump into the comments. Let us know what you thought about the game. Let us know what you thought, our opinions in the game. The links to our socials are in the description. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.